Welcome to Decades of Horror, the 1970s.
Weird, man, way out. I mean, spooks, hobgoblins, black magic, all that jazz.
This is episode 152, recorded November 1st, 2021.
Gruesome Magazine.
Hello, once again. I am Doc Rotten, and this podcast is about horror films released between 1970 and 1979. Each episode, my co-host Jeff Mohr and I will tackle another classic or not so classic film from this wondrous, groovy, gory, and influential decade. All right, with me this week is my co-host Jeff Mohr, working feverishly. Jeff, how are you doing, sir?
I'm ready.
Yeah, he's ready.
I'm ready. And I'm,
You know, SpongeBob SquarePants imitation you got.
I was ready. I'm ready. 19 years old in 1972, so
Ooh, I was way younger than that.
I didn't see.
Way young. Just rub it in, Chad.
We'll talk later.
It's what I do.
All right. Also joining us tonight is Bill Mulligan, writer, director, special effects guru, and all around nice guy. How you doing, Bill?
I'm ready to go. Hipsters versus vampires. Who wins? Who loses? Who cares?
we all
win. Whoever loses, we all win.
Somebody better care.
Oh, yeah. And also joining us tonight is Chad Hunt, comic book artist and co-host of every Decades of Horror, classic era, 80s, and of course the 70s. Chad, sir, how you doing, sir?
I'm ready too.
Chad A.D., 1972.
I'm ready.
If you can't guess what we're going to be doing based on all our comical efforts or comedian, I don't know what I'm saying. We are doing Dracula A.D. 1972 from Hammer. Oh, yes.
What year did it come out?
1972, sir. And of course, Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, which reunites them in the Dracula series. This is the next to the last one, sort of.
Yeah.
I don't know where you. I mean, it
we
is
don't
with
count
Christopher Lee.
vampires, do we?
Yeah, but it has a Dracula in it. I don't know. Do you?
It does.
But anyway, yes. What we're going to do is we're going to yak about the film, and get into all kinds of things. But stick around, because after that we have some feedback from Jeff Mohr from all the crew believers, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Grue
believers. Grue. It rolls right off the tongue.
It does. It's like honey.
Yep.
Honey. I don't know how to follow that up, sir. Chad A.D.
You can't.
All right.
At that weekend, on Classic Era, we refer to him as Chod.
Chod.
Chaudy. It's like
Behind my back, I guess, because I've never
No,
heard
no.
that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's totally behind your back.
There is
Yeah.
a lot
Rapper
of stuff
name,
behind your back,
Chaudy.
sir. All
Chaudy.
right. What film were we talking about? We are talking about Dracula A.D. 1972. Yes, Bill Mulligan. It came out in 1972. Directed by Alan Gibson, written by Don Houghton. We'll go with that. Starring Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing, Stephanie Beacham, Caroline Monroe, and Christopher Neame. Released on November 17th, 1972. Just under the wire there. Box office was 2.4 million.
Yeah, that's not very forward thinking there. I mean, you've got a whole month before your movie seems out of date.
The synopsis: Johnny Alucard raises Count Dracula from the dead in London in 1972. The Count goes after the descendants of Van Helsing, which, sounds like a good idea on the surface.
Johnny
Yeah.
Alucard.
It looks like, in that picture, it kind of looks like there may have been Dracula might have had another, there was another weapon we could have defeated him with.
I love her
Power of bosoms.
cross. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it looks like he's getting ready to go disco dancing, but that's another thing altogether.
Looks like he's renouncing his heterosexuality.
No.
Well, look at his breasts. Get away from me.
No.
Words that never escape my lips.
Cross never stopped me.
Ladies and gentlemen,
What?
direct all
Now, Doc.
emails to.
Now, wait a minute. I put these. You skipped over the AKAs. Do you want to talk?
Oh yeah, go to the
No,
AKA
go.
because there was one there. Needs
I got to
be
talk
mentioned.
about them. Well, they're
Do
both.
it.
I'd have to go to the.
Oh, you want to put it up? I'll put it up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
put it up so I
Put it
can,
up.
rather than having to find
What
it.
the
Yeah,
hell?
I couldn't read them against the
Vampiren Jaeger hot pants from Denmark, which
Vampiric
means
Jaeger.
the vampire hunts hot pants.
That's awesome.
And then
Well.
from Germany, this is really kind of creepy. Dracula jagt mini Mädchen, which is Dracula chases many girls. Many girls.
Mini girls, not many girls.
You
Mini
sure that's not
girls.
mini skirts? Because
Well, I think that's probably what they mean. Like maybe that was a phrase.
But that's not what it
Germany.
comes. It sounds like
mini
Gargamel
girls
chasing after
wore mini
Smurfette.
skirts.
yeah.
Yeah, or little girls, or
Oh no.
If
That it was in IMDb. I was going to try to find a poster that had those titles on it, but I didn't have a chance to look because we know.
well, Bill was
I
talking
just
about.
thought that's where they go, though. I mean, that's what this is.
well, they put that in the posters too. They kept mentioning hot pants and
Yeah, hot pants, short skirts, and
Sounds like a country music song.
Hot span.
which immediately makes it sound like 50-year-old marketing executives are working on this poster. It's like, yeah, what's the thing kids wear?
Well,
these
they
days?
just
Hot
didn't
pants.
get. They didn't
That's
get
what all
the
those
kids.
hippies
They
like.
didn't get the kids. They didn't
They
understand it.
did not get
Uh,
the kids.
But
No.
but to
I didn't get these kids.
run
Hmm.
with it, Bill Mulligan said before the show about the taglines, and that they go to
Oh.
Jeff was talking about. Tagline is "The Count is back with an eye for London's hot pants and a taste for everything." Also, the time
Ooh.
now, the place Kings Road, Chelsea, the killer Count Dracula. The Count is back with an eye for London's young blood. Young blood.
Mm.
For the lovers of the occult, Dracula's coffin opened this year. He's among us now.
What?
That's stupid. As a great
That-
news
that-
for people who thought all vampires lived last century. The past, present, future. Never count out the Count.
Okay, so the guys in the marketing department have been drinking again. Clearly,
Yes. They're wonderful posters. But
they got paid for this.
some good
See, I
stuff
like
there.
that. I like that poster a lot because and
This one?
the top one, yeah, that's really cool. I like the painted posters. I don't like the stuff where they're just. It looks like they
Right.
had whatever the 1972 version of Photoshop was, which I'm pretty sure was a pair of scissors and some glue.
Cut and paste, baby.
Yeah, it was starting to look
That
cheap.
whole bottom poster looks like the Joker, which is apropos
Yeah.
because the whole final scene with Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee sounded like they were fighting to the Batman theme.
Yeah.
I did. Oh my God, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. Yeah, it was.
Well, he is kind of a
very
Batman,
mod.
so
Yeah.
Very mod. Very
Yeah,
mod.
yeah, there you go.
All right. Well, let's get into our review of this. What we're going to do is start off with when did we first see this movie and what was our first impression of it? And you know what, Jeff Mohr, we rarely start with you. Let's do that this week.
There's a reason for that.
yeah. Now
Okay.
you're gonna remember why.
So
Stop.
I got it all started here. with
Oh.
horror of Dracula, but
Yes.
there's they had no idea where it was going to go after that. So you guys got me turned on to Hammer, so I've been watching tons of Hammer films and
You're welcome.
reading Little Shop of Horrors, and this one is just like it's with the exception of Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee and Stephanie Beacham. I always like seeing Carol Monroe.
Hmm.
But from that point, other than that, you nailed it when you said they didn't know how to portray the kids. I mean, I have yet to see a movie that showed sort of what studio people thought was the hip youth culture accurately depicted. It always is. I'm sorry, but that band was terrible. And strangely enough, it was originally supposed to be the Faces,
That would have been great.
which would have been great. But strange enough. So, we just hop into this groovy party and freak out the old coots. So anyway, that stuff just put me off so much. And the guy, Johnny Alucard, not cool. And I'll admit it. It's fun to watch Carol Monroe and Stephanie Beacham in this. They're very at least in large parts of it. I don't know if I-
Careful, careful now.
I
Yeah.
don't know if I say scantily clad, but very
Scantily
snugly
Chad.
and tight.
Yeah.
There's only a handful of people that call me that.
That should be a
Yeah.
perfume line, Scantily Chad.
It will be now. So I'm sure as soon as everybody
I'll tell
hears
ya.
this,
It's Chad D. So
Yeah.
anyway,
still don't know what
so
he's
yeah,
talking about.
the movie, the story sucks, but it's kind of fun to watch Peter Cushing. It's kind of fun to watch Carol Monroe and Stephanie Beacham. They are extremely attractive and decent actors, giving it their all. But
Oh,
this is. I don't know if this is where you mark the decline of Hammer or how much earlier it was or later,
a
but
little early.
I didn't. This
Horror
was
Frankenstein,
not,
maybe? I don't know.
was not my thing.
Not your thing. And you just saw it recently? Did I catch that right?
No, I watched it. I watched it a couple years ago and thought, I mean, the Mod Squad had hipper stuff.
Nice.
Anyway,
All right, Bill Mulligan, sir, you're up next. When did you first see this? And
This is one of the last Hammer films, that I actually caught. For some reason, it didn't seem to get shown as much as others, like Scars of Dracula, even Dracula and His Vampire Brides or Satanic Rites, whatever it went by. I think I saw that one first. So it was one of the last ones, and it had a terrible reputation. Universally, when you read reviews like this was the beginning of the end, I think it's much better than Scars, which I haven't seen in a while, so I'll need to reevaluate maybe. I like this film. It has problems. It's not necessarily a good film, but in a lot of ways, it's a great film. I'm totally with you on the hipsters, though. They are freaking annoying. Even when I was a kid, when I saw this, I hated these people. The women were fine. The women were okay because they're beautiful. But the guys are jerks. I feel like we're supposed to think at the beginning of the movie when they're like crashing this party and breaking stuff and everything that we're on their side. Like, yeah, stick it to those old fuddy-duddies. And I just like, who the hell are you to go into someone's place and break their shit? It's like, what's wrong with you? That's dress up like, you're in a Clockwork Orange. You're an idiot. You're 30 years old pretending to be teenagers. It didn't fool me for a second. So yeah, they were just awful. But then Dracula shows up, and Peter Cushing, great opening. The Dracula series, I don't think is nearly as effective as the Frankenstein series. Probably because we had the same Frankenstein all the way through, and it was Peter Cushing. And he was able to evolve and be different in the different movies, whereas Dracula is Dracula. Lee obviously didn't like playing Dracula. Some of the better Hammer vampire movies are like Brides of Dracula, where there is no Dracula. And when
Vampire
they did get
Circus.
Lee, when they did get Lee, they don't do much with him. He stays in the church the whole time. But in retrospect, that's a good idea, because the one thing they managed to avoid with this movie is having him walk around modern London dressed up in a cape and look stupid, which it would have been having Christopher Lee as a gothic Dracula crashing a disco or something. We've seen those movies, and they're usually played for laughs. The only one that did it well was Blackula. I don't think that they were going to do this one. So, yeah, it's the beginning of the end of the Dracula thing. He's a character that I think does work best in a gothic setting. The Hammer was hitting hard times, and they couldn't afford that kind of production value anymore. They had to set it in modern times. And for that, I like this one. I like it better than Satanic Rites. It's got some goofy stuff in it. Alucard is really annoying, but I've always been a big fan of annoying vampires. And he has a stupid death. So
my God, it's the stupidest.
One of the worst. One of the worst. It's like a game of Mousetrap, this idiot. He just can't do anything right. Everything he does just either touches silver or opens blinds or ends up in running water.
Oh, yes.
The only thing they could have done is I wish he'd stumbled and hit like a garlic pizza. One more thing on the way.
Oh my God, that would have been hilarious.
What a and that's exactly what he deserves, because he's a jerk. But I find this movie a lot of fun, and it's just that you see in it the beginnings of the end. You know,
Not
Cushing's
too much
great.
longer, yeah.
Yeah, Cushing's great, and a sad performance. You know, he's visibly aged. He'd recently lost his wife, and that was just really the beginning of the end for him. So this movie, you sort of see in it, you know, the ruin that comes with everything. Cushing is getting older, sadder, physically, you know, starting to wear down. Hammer is flailing around trying to find something that will work in a time. This was not the time for gothic monsters anymore. So there's a little bit of sadness there, but I think it's a fun movie. But it's dated. It's the crazy thing is they updated it to 1972 to make it cool and with it and less dated. This is infinitely more dated than any of the Gothics, which you could watch for the next 100 years and they'll be fine. But this one was dated in 1973, which is the date, which is when most people probably saw it. This already looked like an Austin Powers reject.
Except in Europe, where they called it Dracula A.D. 73 in Europe. So
they should release it every year and just update it.
There you go. Wouldn't that be awesome? That'd be awesome, right? All right, Chad, sir, you're up next. When did you first see Dracula A.D. 1972, and what did you make of it then?
I saw it in, must have been the mid-70s at some point.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, oh, this is so cool. Dracula's going to be in the modern era. And I just thought that was a cool thing. And to see those characters, you know, in a more modern setting. 15 minutes in.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
So I tried watching it a different time. And half hour in.
Wow.
Oh, no.
You know, but I was like, you know, get on with it. And I remember get on with it was my big mantra for this whole movie. So I did end up watching it again at some point and was, but the movie just telegraphed so many things that they were trying to keep. I don't know, Alucard, Johnny Alucard. Come on. Come on. Anybody that saw Son of Dracula knew what was going on there. Mm-hmm. And then the boyfriend comes out with the
that was
on his neck. You know what was happening there.
If he's not Fred from Scooby Doo and he's got something around his neck, he's a vampire.
Right, he's a vampire. So, I thought I was just bored to tears with these kids, and bored to death. But then Dracula comes back, and I thought it was such a kind of a cool way to bring him back. The dust, when he turned to dust, and they collected the dust, and then they do the ceremony thing, whatever they called it. And Black Mass, I think that they call it Black Mass.
They call it a Black Mass. It was more satanic rites than the next one.
And bring him back, and it was kind of cool to see Christopher Lee come back that way. So it had some cool things in it, and but I just felt like it could be so much better. I felt like they were, and I read later on that because Count Yorga was more of a modern day vampire, they felt like they were going to have to bring that into play and make sort of breathe new life into the Hammer Draculas. And there was just so many missed opportunities in there, and it's mostly because of the reasons you guys have brought up already. But having said all that, once Dracula enters the fray, it got a little bit more interesting to me. Johnny Alucard's death was extremely stupid. That whole fight with the laser beam mirror and it's like there's a big spot of light on the wall. Johnny's going, now? Is my hand in there now? It was just, yes, it's silly. It became a really silly movie, but it was entertaining to me, especially the scenes with Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing. and seeing and the music. It took me a while to get used to that
Yeah.
the hippie music when these two are fighting each other.
Alligator man.
It didn't seem like, I know it wasn't supposed to be the Hammer Dracula we've seen up to this point, but it was weird. It was kind of a weird thing with the music and them fighting.
Yeah,
like that. The epicness of those scenes was gone now because of the music. The music really turned me off of the fight scene. But it's still a fun movie to watch to me. If you just fast forward through the first 45 minutes, 50 minutes until Dracula gets there. But
75%.
Yeah, over 75% of the movie. But Carolyn Monroe, Stephanie Beacham were awesome in this film. Were awesome in there, and so it was not what I was used to, but it's still sort of a fun movie for me anyway. That's my first impression. Yeah.
That's your first impression. All right, so as you know, I love Peter Cushing. I love Hammer films, and for whatever reason, this was one, and I think might be the same reason for Bill, just was one that I couldn't catch.
Yeah.
It took forever. Satanic Rites was easy because it fell into public domain. It was everywhere. But this one just eluded me, and I finally caught it. A couple decades back now on like AMC or TNT or TBS. They had like a marathon, and they played all the Dracula movies back to back to back. And this one was like at 8:00, which was awesome. And Satanic Rites followed it. And oh my God, it thrilled me to no end to finally catch it. And for no other reason, the introduction, the first 5-10 minutes, maybe 15, 10 minutes or so, which has the pre-credits thing, pre-title card, is the best Dracula movie they never filmed. Right? It's got this really awesome chase and a really interesting way to put Dracula down, and it just looks great. And Peter Cushing looked great in that and everything. It was a wild scene. Love that scene. Love the stills from it. We'll get to some of those here in a minute.
Yeah.
But you know what? Yes, to everything you guys said, but I love this film. This is one of my guiltiest of guilty pleasures. I love every corny, zany minute of it. From the whole thing about writing out Dracula's name backwards so slowly so you can see that it's Alucard, to the whole resurrection scene and the blood and everything. And his overacting, the guy who plays Johnny Alucard, his overacting. Yeah. What is his name? Christopher Neame, right?
Yeah.
It's just so wonderfully overacted. It's so
swinging for the fences.
Oh my God! But it's so, to me, it's perfect. To me, I love this movie. I like the inspectors and his little guy that works with him that looks like the guy from the old Hard Day's Night movie. I don't care. It's not, but it looks like him. I don't know.
Told you guys he'd like it
because I love Psychomania as well, which is not a Hammer's film, but it has, it's trying to bring those, the mod squad or the hippies, the London hippies into the horror genre, and it does it better, but it feels the same. It's the same tone, the same type of air quotes understanding of what these people are, and music as well. But I don't know. Sign me up. I love this movie. It's incredibly stupid, but I love it. Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, duke it out at the end. It's great as always. Stephanie Beacham, of course, is wonderful. Great hairdo too. It's really bizarre, very 70s, but they got that right. And of course, Carolyn Monroe just looks fantastic and really belts out her role. She really gives it her all. I mean, it's her role, as short as it is and brief as it is a highlight. I mean, she's really good at it.
The only disappointment is she doesn't get to come back as a vampire. It's like that was a missed opportunity.
Well, right, I know, and there is, well, we'll get to it. There is a really awkward moment where he does get Johnny Alucard, and they don't really want to own it, do they? They don't.
No.
They're a little afraid to take that last.
We linger on all the women victims, but with the guy, it's like, and we'll just cut away right now.
Yeah. He gets like sort of a look on his face. Like,
Dracula's like, oh, there's going to be beard stubble and aftershave and just
aftershave.
Aqua Velva at that time.
I was like, what is that?
Or high karate.
What is that?
I got the feeling Johnny Alucard seldom bathed, you know. Yeah.
So help me out.
Sure. Help an old guy out.
I like the scene at the beginning, but it felt really disjointed, and I didn't think it was very well edited or cut.
I didn't think it was particularly greatly edited either.
I couldn't tell. I mean,
it's very rushed, but
yeah,
are they on the thing together? And then there's a guy riding down the road and goes. I think he goes past him, but then later we see him again, and it turns out to be like the 100-year-old version of. Or the version of Johnny Alucard from 100 years ago, I guess. I mean, how did they never really tied that together at all?
They throw a line at it. That's it. When Dracula goes, you know, your line was chosen to do this. You know,
okay.
And he disses him about becoming a vampire, but later decides to do it.
So what have they been doing in the 100 years in between, like when the guy collected the dust and Johnny Alucard? You know, just been handing this vial back down. One day, son, you'll commit a great act of evil.
Waiting for the church to be decommissioned.
Yeah, that must be because it had to be. What did they? What is it?
Deconsecrated.
Yeah, consecrated.
That's the word.
Or whatever. So they had to wait for that, and that's what happened. And they buried his ashes there with a stake in it. Forever it stayed there. And he, I guess, had the other half of it, so who knows. And the ring. He also had the ring. Yeah. Science. Vampire science works wonderful.
Right.
But I don't know. It doesn't really matter. It's hokum. I mean, his best resurrection is where they hang the girl upside down or hang the guy upside down.
Dracula, Prince of Darkness.
Yeah.
Well,
that was a good one.
So the other thing is the ending, and this is a spoiler podcast, right? So
yes, it is.
I mean, Cushing's character Van Helsing makes this elaborate trap, right? And then, but it's almost like anticlimactic. Instead of having some big flourish where he fooled them and Dracula goes crashing into the spike pit, he literally just
trips,
slips on the edge of the grave and falls in.
Well, he does splash him with
that's true.
Holy water.
True.
Yeah, that's true.
That's when he backs up. But yeah, it is still a little silly.
And that's always been a flaw with the Hammer movies. Dracula is really kind of a sap, and it's the worst one is the next one where he literally just walks into the hawthorn bushes and just gets himself all cut up. You know, he doesn't seem all that powerful for being a supreme vampire. You know, Peter Cushing's an old man, and he thoroughly kicks his ass every single time.
Every single time.
Which is why Dracula's so mad. I do like Dracula's like Yosemite Sam or something. If he see all Van Helsing has to do is just stand there. It's like, yoo-hoo, Mr. Vampire, and Dracula just drops whatever he's doing. You know, whatever he's about to bite a beautiful. Oh, I got to get this guy. And he just goes right for him. Does a Count Yorga, walks in a straight line right into the trap like a dumbass.
Stupid vampire varmint.
Yeah,
it's glorious. It's glorious.
It's like, oh, this kills me too. What the hell?
Well, he gets so mad. He goes, "That's not the one I asked for."
But it is, you know, they do his eyes get big and red, and you can almost hear like the Kill Bill soundtrack in the back. Do. You know, he's just,
That's true. They held the red eyes, the bloodshot.
I like
flashbacks.
Those
He has flashbacks to the last time I got killed by this guy. It's like, ooh, now I'll.
Yeah, you can see steam coming out of his ears.
The body.
Walter Brennan as Dracula.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go get that Van Helsing.
Get you Van Helsing.
But that's his motivation. He's pretty much stuck in the church. Doesn't wander out. He's got no big plans. Johnny Alucard brings him beautiful dames and he kills them.
Every time
There's
you
not a lot
say
of
Johnny
story
Alucard,
here.
I just something.
I know. I just want to.
That's like,
You know, his real name
like-
was probably like Sidney Applebaum, but you know that's what.
Apple.
that's like he should be in a western called Johnny the Kid or something. Johnny.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Johnny Alucard.
Johnny Alucard's coming to town later. You better get out of here, you and your crew.
Oh well, and this is one of we'll get to it.
He'll break your precious
one or two
vases
of his
just because he
films.
can.
Yeah.
All right, let's go look at the cast here. Christopher Lee, of course, returns.
I'm sorry, that was like a cat video.
Yeah.
The cat that moves a little closer, pushes it,
Returns as
Sorry.
Count Dracula.
knocks the vase off it.
That's right. Sticking it to the man. I broke a vase. Take that, patriarchy.
Yeah, it is.
Whatever.
But yeah,
Doesn't Lee look like genuinely crazed? I mean, he hit a good age for this movie where
Mhm.
he's not the young guy he was in 58, but
Yeah.
he looks legitimately scarier now.
The
He's only
hair's
12
all
years old.
straggly.
He's
They
only 12
never
years
let
old.
his hair do that in any other movies where it just got all
Well, you know,
straggly. and-
Cushing's is like that too in this movie. There's
Yeah.
a scene in that
Yeah,
fight where his
yeah.
hair's kind of bushed out.
Well, that became a thing. Like he would do the hair thing when he got into a fight. Peter Cushing would.
I like the picture on the bottom though, where he just looks like dames. You know.
Yeah.
What am I to do with all these beautiful women I have under as my
Oh, yeah,
thralls?
that's why.
Yeah.
That's why
Looks more like 2 more
Sucks
days.
to be
And I
you.
go to. It looks like it says 2 more days, and I go to be 007,
Yeah.
man with a golden gun, right?
Mhm. No, not,
Well, I think
not
I
any
read,
hot pants in sight there in that picture.
Yep. No hot pants.
Horror Express came out like 2 days after this.
Oh, did it?
You could tell in Horror Express he's having a much better time than
Yes.
he ever is when he's playing Dracula.
That's because he had dialogue and
Yeah.
real story to him.
Character,
Yeah.
This he's, yeah. All right, Peter Cushing. Okay. I it's great to have Peter Cushing back as a Van Helsing, and I love a couple shots that we have on our cards here. This one in the middle
Yeah.
is one that Go-Go's would paint for a cover of Famous
okay.
Monsters, excuse me.
Okay.
And it's just a great shot. Just a great shot of him. He's starting to look a little more frail, but he still has
Yeah.
it here.
He still has it. But originally he was going to play Stephanie Beacham's father. And when he shows up, and this was, I guess, not long after the death of his wife, he had so visibly aged that they were like, let's make him grandfather.
Mhm.
And that was probably a good call. And I really like the relationship between the two of them. It's a good relationship. They obviously are enormously fond of each other. He's very protective of her. She is an independent woman living her own life, but she has, she admires and likes him, and that conversation she has where it's like, I'm not really the rebel I put on. I'm just, just for giggles and everything. It's a good relationship. It's sweet.
And those were great scenes when those two were together.
Mm-hmm.
The relationship that they had, you believed it. I mean, it was really good. And I just found those very enjoyable to watch when they were on screen together. The middle one always looked like, I always thought Clark Savage Sr. there.
Nah.
Oh, wow. Wow.
and
That's a good
nice.
call.
All right. Mentioning Stephanie Beacham. There's that haircut.
Do what? Huh?
Hair. She's got hair.
Come on, guys.
She's very voluptuous, but she's not an empty-headed Hammer heroine.
No.
No, she's
not
actually
at all.
quite different than that. Yeah.
So, I mean, yes,
Love
she's
her.
mostly the damsel in distress here, but she's the one young person who actually seems young, and Carolyn Monroe too, and is likable, and you're kind of rooting for the others. The others can die at the
Oh, it has
earliest
that-
opportunity as soon as much as
And
I
it
care.
has some intelligence, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
She kind of gets sucked into it by her boyfriend, some of the stuff, but for the most part, she's like, yeah, I don't want to go to
Yeah.
this party.
I mean, I guess part of it that works is that Johnny Alucard is so ridiculous that you could see where these people would go along for it, just because there's no real danger there. This guy, he's a poser,
Yeah.
and turns out he's actually got some danger to him. But you wouldn't think that. You would just think this is one of those wacky people who comes into your life, and you put up with it as long as you can, and then you hopefully never see him again.
Mm-hmm.
The way they talk about him, he's like this longtime buddy of this group. But then when the police ask him about him, oh yeah, his name's Johnny. What's his last name?
Where's he live?
Yeah.
What does he do for a living?
Where'd you meet him?
What?
I can't really remember.
Didn't at one point she say that, he came into the group and everybody just
Yeah, we met him in a party like
Yeah.
several months ago.
every-
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But listen, I've known people like that where they suddenly become part of your group, and it isn't until you all start comparing notes. It's like, I thought he was your friend. No, I thought he was your friend.
No.
Who is this person?
Yeah.
Just crash the party, Doc. Yeah.
But Stephanie Beacham, of course, was also in Now the Screaming Starts,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
not terribly much else genre related, right? So
No.
Mm.
I used to see her. I watch her
Because,
on, what was it, Dynasty?
Dynasty.
And the
Yes,
Colbys
yes.
and
Yeah.
those
Colbys.
ABC
The
dramas.
Colbys.
Yeah.
Yeah, it became a thing. All right, Caroline Munro.
Wow.
The shots that you have here are the shots that you see when you see Dracula A.D. This is the ones that they usually promote with,
Yeah.
especially the top one up there. And why not?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I had gotten the impression that she had a much larger role in this film.
Yeah.
She should have. I don't know what they
Yeah.
were thinking.
Yeah, they should have wrote her, like you said, back as a vampire.
Well, you
Right?
can,
Oh, absolutely. She'd be an awesome vampire.
you can easily get the impression that she was in a lot more Hammer films, but was only in this and Captain Kronos.
Yep, that's
Right.
right.
Yeah.
I think they signed her to a 2-picture deal, and that's about all that Hammer had left. There wasn't much opportunity for her to go on.
I thought it
But
would have been
yeah.
a much better thing if she'd have came back and took the place of her boyfriend at the end with them.
No, that would have been a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
But they
yeah,
had to-
yeah.
They had to find her body though, right? So that started
Yeah.
the whole mystery. So kind of they locked themselves into that.
Hmm.
Of course, she did.
Carefully
ton-
concealed in a pile of rubber with her head sticking
They
out.
could have found her body, and then she comes
Above the
back.
bricks.
We've seen that
Yeah,
scene enough.
yeah.
Come
That's
on.
true. That's true. Kind of right in the morgue, right? Kind of done right.
Yeah, have her run down in slow motion.
Oh yeah. That,
Oh,
Same
man.
here.
We're going to get letters.
Letters.
And they didn't think of that
Like
again
Blackula.
until Baywatch.
Yeah.
But she really is great in that scene, though. It's just
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
She
and-
has that gravitas and presence.
Mhm.
I mean, she's not just a pretty face. There's just
Yeah.
something about her, that's
She's got
Stand
that
out.
undefinable quality that,
Yeah.
she should have been in more things.
yeah.
Really.
back then,
you know?
with Hammer. Yeah, definitely. Of course, that conversation that they had before going to the Black Mass, she stands out there too,
Yeah.
with just a couple lines of dialogue.
I get the feeling
Again-
she's the only reason they didn't kick all those hippies out of the party, because it's like, get these people out here. It's like, wait, that includes her. It's like, okay, we could wait for the police to show up.
We can hold
Yeah,
off.
all the men were watching her. The women were wanting to get rid
Yeah.
of her.
And her little Vampirella outfit, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Johnny Alucard.
Oh,
No,
wow! Now we took a crack from Carolyn Munro to this goof. Look at that middle picture. Darr.
but it's perfect. It's
It is perfect.
for what he's doing, and
Even Dracula doesn't like him.
I
It's
know.
like, I brought you back, Master. My will brought me back. It's like, yeah, just okay.
I demand that you make me immortal.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's how you get a good bitch slap right across the church.
You're gonna like this. Okay.
I love how the guy who is turned immortal dies like within a day.
And his friend.
Stupidly.
Oh yeah.
That's always been my point with vampires, is that you become a vampire. It's like, I will be immortal. It's like you are now about to be killed by about 100 things that were perfectly okay yesterday.
Yeah.
You actually have got to plan your life never to touch silver, garlic, the sun, running water.
Not many vampires run into Van Helsing the next day after they become a vampire.
Yeah, you probably should have the manual, and you're like, okay, ooh, fresh air kills me. Damn.
Fresh air.
Running water.
Running water, fresh air, sunlight, basically Earth kills me.
Running water very often, I don't think, do they?
No, they don't use that too much.
Yeah, what was it Dracula Prince of Darkness? He goes under the water and
he falls into the ice and
that
basically anything that washes away evil. So anything that purifies evil. So water, fire.
At a little known fact, at the exact same he falls into the water at the exact same spot that Rasputin dies. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it's the same castle and the same water.
All right,
from that movie.
Yeah.
See,
now if Rasputin had been a vampire, they would have killed him in about 12 seconds. But since he was just a really tough guy, it took all day to kill Rasputin.
Entire movie.
Yeah.
Oh my God. All right, we talked about the beginning. We got some shots from that.
I got to give him credit. That title sequence is pretty kick-ass. You know, Dracula, and then we pan up in the sky, and all of a sudden there's an airplane. AD 72.
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Then the music starts and ruins it, but yeah.
No, it doesn't. Oh man.
So Doc, you said you liked that music and the fight scene, but all that stuff sounded to me like, we've talked about this before, but it sounded like 70s detective shows to me.
Oh yeah. It's
yeah.
Awful.
Oh yeah.
It's awful. It's awful.
Right. Maddox in color. Yeah.
A Quinn Martin production.
All right. So as bad as his death is down below at the bottom shot here.
Yeah.
That we talked about. He literally drowns in a bathtub of running water.
I don't know if it's the running water or just the fact that that's probably the first bath he's had in like a year.
Yeah. You can see his skin is starting to react to the water. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, yeah, he was blistering or something. Was that from the sun or that from the water?
He opens up his sunroof. I mean, like, what a dumbass. Just like, dude. Everything he does is wrong. He's the Inspector Clouseau of vampires.
Well, now wait a minute. So that top picture there where they show the card that Cushing filled out. Did he really think we were so stupid we couldn't figure it out? Or
Yes, exactly.
They had to write Alucard and Dracula and then draw lines to each letter.
Yeah, they literally had to spell it out.
Now do Bob.
All right. I love your title for this card.
What's that?
Hippies must die.
Yeah. You know, listen. I mean, the counterculture had a lot of good things, you know, going for it and needed changes, blah, 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 blah. Movies about these people are wretched. Either because they would go out and like, we're going to make a movie with hippies. Let's hire Otto Preminger, who I guess is like 95 years old and, you know, has no idea what's going on. So he hires Groucho Marx. You know, it's insane. Or they would actually hire people like Dennis Hopper, because Dennis Hopper's the one who got this going with Easy Rider. But if you try to watch Easy Rider nowadays, you still hate them. Everyone's insufferable. They're just insufferable.
But it's far more realistic. I mean, it's it's not these weird sort of.
This is a cartoon
combination of go-go parties and hippies. It's more realistic, I think. Anyway.
Yeah, it's so lame. It's so lame, and it's so dated. I mean, again, that's the thing that just gets me is Dracula A.D. 72 is by far the most dated of all the Dracula movies. It was, and I feel like it was dated by 1974.
Yeah, probably was. Yeah. And then that one guy there, the Joe guy, he looks like one of the guys from either Friday the 13th or Friday the 13th Part 2.
Yeah.
Who, the one dancing with Carolyn?
At the bottom.
At the bottom. Oh, yeah.
Bottom right.
The guy who he had the bet about how long it would take the police to get there.
Oh my God, that was so lame. It was 4 minutes.
Yeah, what's his outfit?
It's like a.
It's wacky.
Pull over.
Who knows? Who cares?
And but I will say, Jeff, you said you didn't like the band. I thought the band was fine. I liked the second song. I would have loved to have seen the Faces though, because they were genuinely a good band. Some top 10 hits and everything.
Right. And maybe that turned me against it because I read the information on it beforehand. So they later formed Pablo Cruz. Yeah.
So they had some success.
So one of the things I was thinking about, and I have no idea, but really, if you think about London in the 60s, there was like an in-group in the late 60s. If you think about the Beatles and the Stones and the sort of in-crowd that were always showing up in pictures and at clubs, they did wear crazy clothes and stuff like that. But I never heard any of them talking like these guys did, and I didn't see them acting like this. And anyway, they just don't. They try to throw in current language, and it just sounds like
it's dated.
Who doesn't get it.
And I love it.
Course.
I love it.
You're a 40-year-old guy. You're writing a script about hippies, so you just like toss in a couple groovies. End every sentence with man.
Man, yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I didn't see a credit at the end for hippie consultant. So.
No, they forgot.
They were winging it.
Yeah.
I forgot.
They didn't.
Well, the director, Alan Gibson, apparently did such a great job, and they were loving it that they gave him Satanic Rites of Dracula before they released this and realized, I think, what happened.
I mean, maybe this is the best you get. This is a small budget. The budgets were getting tight by this point, but I kind of agree. I don't think the action scenes are staged particularly well. I think, ironically, the Gothic stuff, inside the church is all better done.
Yep.
So, I mean, they took the trouble of modernizing the setting and everything, and yet it only really comes alive when we're back to the familiar.
Yeah.
Or with Peter Cushing. I thought whenever Peter Cushing's on screen, he really gives it. I mean,
he lights up
They do a couple of close-ups of him, and he's like, he's like, oh no, really giving him like this scrunched face. Oh,
I mean, he's in some bad movies, but when he's on the screen, you're paying attention, and then you're back to whatever it is.
Look at Star Wars. Where would it?
Right. Just where'd that go?
Oh man. Well, Paul Annette, I guess Annette, Annett was offered to direct this. He did Beast Must Die instead.
No.
And this kind of has that Beast Must Die kind of thing too, where we're modern waka waka music and
waka waka.
Trying, it just wasn't working. It was a tough thing. I mean, things changed so fast. We went from Gothic horror to Night of the Living Dead and everything, and then whatever was left was finished off by The Exorcist. I mean, everything changed.
Yeah.
And they just weren't able to change with it. I don't know what they could have done differently. I don't know what advice you could have given Hammer at that time that would have really made a difference. I don't know.
So apparently this made it to CBS Late Movie in 1981, and they renamed it Dracula Today.
Even in 1981, a few years later, it's dated.
Oh my!
Not Dracula Yesterday.
I still love it.
That's okay.
They should have called it Dracula Next Week.
I like it. I mean, it's an entertaining. I was entertained.
It's very
by
entertaining.
The thing is, we see the potential there that was not realized, and so there's part of you that's like, oh man, that could have been so much better. But at the same time, it's Dracula versus Van Helsing.
It is. There's not a lot of story there. And again, it's unfair, but I keep comparing it to the Frankenstein series where they found a hook, something unique for each one. And if you try really hard, they don't really fit all that well chronologically, but you can sort of see the Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein character, all played by the same actor, which helps, changing as time goes on, going from this amoral but brilliant young scientist to this completely cracked up crazy guy in an asylum. And watching how each of his experiments, each disappointment is getting him closer and closer to this ending. It's cool. And even the last one, where they didn't have a whole lot to work with, is still a good movie. But the vampire stuff is very hit or miss. And it doesn't help when your lead actor, the vampire, doesn't like the role and makes no bones about it.
But he would do it one more time.
I see Dooku in my future.
Yes.
Yeah.
Doo-doo.
Well, I see this guy. The writer also wrote Satanic Rites of Dracula and Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires.
Oh, wow.
Well, third time's a charm.
Yep.
I mean, we've got to do Satanic Rites of Dracula at some point. I mean, there's stuff to
We
learn
will.
about it, but it's I don't know. Maybe it's tarnished a little bit more because of its public domain.
Finding a good print can be difficult. So maybe a good print will help. But I mean, at least with that one, they really took advantage. I mean, Dracula has embraced modern times and is actually using modern things to advance his agenda, which is a crazy agenda, but at least he's using it. He's taken advantage of compound interest to become one of the richest men on earth. So that's kind of cool. That would be a smart thing for a vampire to embrace.
I got to ask you, just in this movie, does Dracula ever realize he's in the modern age?
It doesn't feel like it.
Because he never really mentions it, right?
Yeah, and there's no fish out of water scenes. There's no anything.
No, there isn't.
Where he would interact with anything.
Yeah, he's
modern.
in this. Yeah. No
even just like a cop shooting him with a gun, and Dracula amused at this puny weapon. But there's nothing like that. But again, I'm probably grateful for that because I don't like the fish out of water stuff, and it would just take away from his character so much. Yeah. Apparently, go ahead.
I was going to say the only time he steps outside, he falls into a pit of crosses.
Yeah. So who are we to judge? I mean, really, staying in the church was the smart move, clearly. But I guess there was an early script where Dracula was actually going to be the devil. That in this devil worshipping cult actually bring back the devil and it's Dracula, so they would really get into the demonic aspect of his. But I don't think Christopher Lee would like that because he was a big fan of Bram Stoker's book, and Dracula was not the devil.
Yeah. Still would have been cool.
It would have been kind of cool.
Woulda, shoulda, coulda.
Woulda, shoulda,
coulda. All right, well, let's go ahead.
Isn't that also true of Taste the Blood of Dracula, that he spends the entire movie just sitting in that church, having his stuff brought to him?
Does do that. Okay, so is that a 70 movie or is that a 69 movie?
I think that's the 60s, yeah.
And I don't think he has any dialogue. Is that the one he doesn't have any dialogue?
I know. I think he has some dialogue, but it's mostly bring me another victim. I mean, basically, this guy is like an old man who's depending on DoorDash. He's just having people brought to him constantly,
DoorDash.
Yeah.
He didn't tip very well.
There you go. Modern day, Dracula's got to get an Uber. That'd be hilarious. All right, guys, let's wrap this up. Let's give our final thoughts.
Okay.
And a recommendation for this, Jeff Mohr. We're going to keep the same order. You're up first.
Okay. Well, you got to see this, right? You got to see this.
Yeah.
And I complained. I spent most of my original time complaining about the poor depiction of the young people's society. But like we said, they hardly ever get that right. And they did have a despicable lead villain, Johnny Alucard. I mean, just weaselly. Yeah. And I did like Stephanie Beacham was a good character, and the way that on opposite sort of paradox that Carolyn Monroe's character, like she was begging to be the one that got the blood sacrifice when she, Dracula just couldn't get excited about it because it was all supposed to be Van Helsing. So there's some interesting stuff going on here. I just think, I don't know, the music took me out of it a little bit too. I think a different soundtrack. It's just really jarring to hear this. It kind of reminds me of, I'm a big blues fan, and for some reason recording companies like Chess Records decided they needed to put out psychedelic blues albums for like Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So
we got the Doc Severin band doing the greatest hits of psychedelica. Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, you gotta see this. And Cushing and Lee and Monroe and Beacham. Yeah. You gotta
Oh
see
my.
it.
Yep. All right. Bill, this means you're next, sir. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, of course I recommend it. Even average Hammer is better than good non-Hammer. So, I mean, I like it. It's got a lot of elements that are very dated and everything. But if you embrace that, I think you're going to have a good time. It's got a great cast. It's got some good stuff in there, and it's got some things that you just have to say, well, that's not the way it really was, but that's the way old guys imagined that it was. It's a fun movie. It's a fun movie, and kind of one of the last gasps, really, straddling that line there where Hammer was trying to figure out which way to go, and unfortunately, there weren't too many years left. So, yeah, it's got that all latter Hammer has that little bit of sadness to it that, we know they're trying, they're using their top guns. It's not necessarily working, and it's about to all go away.
Yeah,
but I enjoyed it. Fun time.
They weren't alone. Others were having the same trouble. So
no.
Yeah. All right, Chad, sir, you're up next. What's your recommendation here on this one?
Yeah, I agree. You have to watch it. It's you have to go into it with a certain mindset, though. It's going to be a little goofy. It's going to be a little irritating in some spots. Some of the characters, anyway. But it's fun. I had fun watching it. Especially, I always look forward to the fight at the end between Cushing and Christopher Lee. This one was good. I mean, when after Dracula had fallen into the pit and he pulls a shovel out, I was going, oh my God, he's going to cut his head off with a shovel. But he puts the shovel in and sort of pushes him down with more blood.
I thought that too, yeah.
He should be so lucky to get his head cut off. Now we're just going to shove you down deeper on the stakes.
It was awesome. It was awesome. So yeah, you gotta watch it. It's not top tier Hammer, but it's Hammer.
Yeah.
Cushing stopped long enough to build that big old pit out there, so that was kind of awesome. Right?
Tiger
trap. Tiger trap out in the middle.
Tigers are harder to catch than vampires, though.
But 4 of the characters from this movie made it to the next one. Count Dracula, of course, Lorrimer Van Helsing returned, Inspector Murray returns, and Jessica Van Helsing, although it's played by Joanna Lumley instead.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I didn't realize that it was the same Van Helsing, but it makes perfect sense because
these two movies do fit together well. I mean, they are direct sequels, whereas some of the other ones are kind of loosey-goosey in the time and everything. So,
I am a Hammer horror film fanatic. Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, love them all. This is it's kind of hard for me not to like this, but it also happens to be, like I said, one of my guilty pleasures of the 70s. There's a lot of guilty pleasures in the 70s, and this one's among them for certain. And it's for every reason you guys talk about this thing as a misstep, it's the reason why I like it. It's just like, that's absurd. It's absurd that he writes it out that way. It's absurd that he dies in a bathtub. It's absurd. And I love the absurdity of it. I love the misstep. I mean, they swung, and then sometimes, swung hard and to the fences, but it is such a strikeout, and it's so wonderful in that respect. It's just, but I mean, when you do put it in like the score of history for Hammer, it does kind of signal that well, they're already in trouble. I mean, they were hit and missing at this point, right? And they would still have a couple of fairly interesting films, but they only had a couple more years left, right? Is it from the To the Devil Daughter? Is that 75 or 76? I think it's 76. That's the last one, right?
Yeah.
And they really didn't make too many horror films around.
No, not too many movies are made in that last few times. So.
And most of them were sticking to the comedies, or there's a couple thrillers in there. But 73, 72, 73, they would knock out a few. And 74, we'd get Carolyn Monroe back as, in another Hammer film. So they had a little more left in them, but not a whole lot, and it's unfortunate. But the best way to watch this is in a run. Just get all the Hammer Dracula films and run them together, and make sure you slide in Brides of Dracula, even though it doesn't have Christopher Lee, because it has Peter Cushing as Van Helsing reprising his role. But just
slip in Kiss of the Vampire too while you're at it.
You certainly can, and if you for extra credit, Vampire Circus, right? So
absolutely.
Okay, at least it's better than the Mummy movies. All right.
The Mummy series had one good movie. That's sad.
Yeah, and a couple interesting.
One interesting one, and then the two in the middle.
Yeah. But anyway, so there you go. I'm going to shut up about this because I could just sing praise for another hour. And you don't want to hear that. But there you go. I can't wait for our next Hammer film. We still have plenty to do as we continue our trek through the 70s. But right now we are going to do some listener feedback, right, Jeff?
Yes.
Well, let's do it.
All right.
All righty.
Well, first, Jeff thought we were back at the beginning again.
We're going back to the Wayback Machine here. This is from episode 136, Eaten Alive, from Kathy Chapman. To quote Chad, "Oh my God, oh my God." Thanks, Grue Crew. This is a great review of a not so great movie. And just to back Jeff up, y'all voted for Eaten Alive. I had to agree with Bill. Just kill the kid already. This movie could have been so good, but I don't know. Budget, script, director, or all three combined, it just doesn't cut it. Other than just wanted to let you four know that spending the evening with y'all is like spending it with good friends. Keep it up, guys. Much love to the crew.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Kathy. That's great. That's sweet.
That's how we try to keep it.
Yeah.
Just four guys bullshitting about.
Four guys who like each other too. I listen to some podcasts and it's so obvious. You can see the undertones. These people don't like each other, but they got something going and they already printed up T-shirts, so they got to stick with it. But nah, you guys, I'd go out and have a beer and pizza with you any day of the week.
And we have in some cases.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Glad that comes across.
Anyway, enough with the mutual.
Enough with the mush.
Yeah.
I agree. I think we all share a love for the movies, and even when we disagree, we understand that it's subjective.
Yeah.
So, Dawn of the Dead, episode 150. We have several of these. First one is from Mad Asgardian.
I love it.
And Dawn is one of my all-time favorite movies. It sucks that it's out of print and unavailable to stream in America, legally anyway. I picked up the British 4K box set, which came out last year. It's similar to Chad's, but includes new extras, CDs with both the Goblin score and DeWolf library tracks, and a couple of small, awkwardly sized books, a reprint of the 70s novelization, and a new book of essays and archive material.
Oh, man.
And I was just...
Dang!
Gotta get a new one.
Well, mine was from England. I mean, I had to wait for it to come, only because we were delayed. But it doesn't say, it doesn't have all that stuff, but it's a lot, and it's very good resolution.
Let's see the front.
I can't remember if it's 4K or not. Well, it's got the usual cover.
Okay. Mine has like a shiny cover with a.
Oh, here's the flyer that was in it. On some of these you can't, and I can't read it.
This is Gripping Podcast.
All right. Congrats on 150, and thanks to the crew for years of entertainment. Appreciate that. Another great one, the Mad Asgardian. I love it.
I love the name. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Thank
and another one from Evil, who picked our last 80s movie, The Children.
I still need to talk to him about that.
Yeah, happy 150, Grue Crew. This movie has a permanent spot on my all-time favorite movie list. when Doc said the not so classic portion of his intro, I was thinking, no, not so classic shouldn't be anywhere near this movie. This is also one of the first movies I remember seeing in the theater with my parents. I think I was like
What?
5 or 6 at the time.
5 or 6 at the time.
My God. Now we understand. Now we understand.
Everything's perfectly clear now.
That tells me how old you probably were when you watched The Children. And I do agree that watching that movie when you're a kid would scare the living crap out of you. I'm not sure how much of the movie I actually saw as I was hiding behind the seat in front of me, picking up randomly. I remember looking up just at the moment when the biker got disemboweled. I'm pretty sure I hid for the rest of the movie after that scene. But I still loved it because I have such fond memories of it.
You got some cool parents.
The Goblin soundtrack of the movie is awesome, and I recently picked it up as the slow versus fast in terms of zombies. Fast zombies, nope, sorry, I will never accept them, even though I genuinely do like the remake. And as a former mall employee in my earlier years, the guy I worked with and did talk about this movie, the guy I worked with and I did talk about this movie and how we would barricade and secure the mall. I think any horror fan who has worked in a mall has their own plan in place just in case.
Yeah,
just in case.
One last thing, when you guys announced Exorcist 2 and John Boorman, that touches on another movie easily in my all-time list, and that is Excalibur.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Absolutely.
Easily the best sword and sorcerer movie until Lord of the Rings came out.
Yeah, there's no lies there. That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, I was present for most of your first 150, and I will be here for your next 150. Looking forward to them all.
Nice. Thank you.
Love it.
Thank
Love
you.
it.
Evil.
Appreciate the comments. Really do.
Yeah.
And then another regular listener, Jay Bart. Great way to ring in number 150. Here are a couple of facts to fill in the blanks. George had a hard time raising funds to make the film. Dario invited him to Italy, where they worked on the script together, and he also helped George with financing in exchange for the European film rights. As far as the mall, one of George's friends owned it and volunteered it to him to use. Unknown to George, he would have to shoot overnight, and it was the holidays, so they had to remove and rehang the decorations after every shoot. This is one of my all-time favorite movies. Thanks for sharing. Happy 150.
Thanks, Joel.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Joel. Keeping it real in Philadelphia.
I made a pilgrimage there a couple of years back when they were getting
to the mall.
The only thing they had left was one of the little bridge that went over the little pool or area there.
That's not there anymore.
It's not there anymore.
Wow.
They were taking it out at the day I was there. They were taking it out.
They put that in they put in the George Romero Museum.
Yeah.
They actually got I remember there was a GoFundMe kind of thing going on for that.
Oh,
why would you? I literally just don't understand when you've got something that there's a significant number of people who would go out of their way. I drive by malls all the time. Wouldn't even think about going into it. But you say, "Oh, that's the mall they shot Dawn of the Dead." I'm stopping there, and while I'm there, I'll probably have a Zabaro's pizza or something. I'll spend some money. Why would you take something like that out? What's wrong with these people?
I don't know. I went to it back in the 90s. I went up to one of the Monster Mashes, and it wasn't very far from there. And took a day trip up there and rode around it. It's like, ooh.
Yeah.
It feels very
nothing but that music. Dun, 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 dun. That's all it was on a rotating thing. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, it looks like every other mall, but yet it looks like that mall.
Sure.
So yeah, this is 4K. It's ultra. It says Ultra HD on it.
Ultra HD.
And it's got all 3 cuts, and there's a separate one. And the 3 cuts played on my normal, like all region player, but the 4th one with extras, I had to put in my Blu-ray player that I hacked. I didn't hack it. I bought a hacked Blu-ray player that would play for all regions. It's like locked for region B. I don't understand why they would do that. Why would you put one locked Blu-ray in a package? All right, I'm done. It's great though.
Is that it? That's all the feedback?
One more. And
okay,
Chad, are you paying attention? You want to read that one? It's
no. Let me see. Let me get over to it here.
No, got some feedback.
From Damien.
Is this? Well, let's see. Is this
Damien
the Dawn of the Dead?
Ostertale.
Or the Dawn of the Dead?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
you got to scroll down a way so you see Damien.
Okay. All right, Damien. Gentlemen, and oh hell, I'll be nice for a change, gentlemen.
I remember.
Okay.
Well, we'll find out later where this comes from.
Okay. Happy Halloween and my sincere congratulations on reaching this milestone and such a perfect selection of one of Uncle George's greatest achievements. Dawn of the Dead has been a staple in my collection, as it is in. I just lost my place. Okay. As it is in yours for quite some time. I was too young to see it in the theater when it was released. And I always remember the VH box cover of the title logo and the picture of Roger and his evolution from alive to zombie. So I remember that one too. So I always knew this story arc by just looking at the VHS cover. I feel the same as Bill in that Dawn and Day of the Dead are my favorite. Depending on the moment I'm in, both cannot be equaled. But as the lesser remakes show, not including Zack Snyder's Dawn, it's very hard to come close to the magic of Romero and Savini. Hear, hear. Dawn of the Dead is the start of the zombie apocalypse genre to which all others are measured. Another great episode, guys, and I can't wait to see what we get for episode 200. I pray to God that it's The Exorcist. You never know.
Gotta do it. Gotta do it at some point.
Yeah. There's no rhyme or reason that makes sense that we get Exorcist 2 before Exorcist, other than Princess Dragon Mom's time of the month has come, and he just wants to torment and torture us with reliving that god-awful train wreck of a sequel. And then again, it's no blood-sucking freaks. Nothing is a blood-sucking freaks, but blood-sucking freaks. As Jeff said, you guys take the hits for us so we don't have to relive or be reminded that what's done for money shouldn't always be made. Ha ha.
Keep going. One more.
I think I've gone on long enough. Yes, I agree. Time to turn the lights out and watch Uncle George one more time. As always, continued success and continue to stay alive and healthy, guys. All the best, Damien. Thanks, Damien.
I appreciate it, Damien. I love getting these comments about the 150th episode because it's it was voted on by listeners, so it's cool to get some feedback.
Yeah, it was very close between it and The Exorcist, and Dawn of the Dead just edged out. But
I gotta say, he's right. In what world do we cover Exorcist 2 before
this world, baby?
You saved the best for last, right?
Oh, okay,
it's
that world.
The palate cleanser.
Okay.
Yes.
You can't do all the good ones right off the bat.
We should do Excalibur one day because it's a great movie and it'll get the bad taste of Exorcist 2 out of our mouths.
There you go. All right, we do know what we're doing on the next episode, Jeff, do we not?
We are. Alfred Hitchcock's, I think, second to last movie, Frenzy.
Mm-hmm.
Frenzy. This is going to be interesting.
I saw this in the theater, and I thought it was scary stuff. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah,
what
this
it looks
is
like now.
Yeah, this
then
is
maybe one day we'll get back to doing a horror movie.
like Exorcist.
Yeah, Exorcist 2.
Yeah.
I haven't seen this one. I'm excited.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
Oh, it's got it's got a couple of Hitchcockian sequences that stand up there with the best.
Yeah, but it's also one that wasn't well received, right?
No.
Yeah.
Not particularly. I mean, yeah.
We'll get into all that.
Yeah.
That every does stick in reviews.
That's right.
Oh man, I can't wait to see it. I can't wait. This is going.
No, it's an interesting film. It's simultaneously old-fashioned and modern all at once, which is kind of interesting. So,
isn't this the one where he promoted it floating down the Thames?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
It's like you see his nose and his belly and his
back
feet.
in a suit. Floating on his back in a suit.
Yeah.
All right, well, there you go. That's our show for tonight. Our review for Dracula A.D. 1972. Let us know. We got to put up a poll for what's the next Hammer film to do. Just that alone.
Probably aren't too many left.
There's a few. There's a few.
Yeah.
There's a few. All right. With that, I guess Jeff, Bill, Chad, thank you for joining me. This was a lot of fun.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Had a great time.
It was groovy, man.
Yeah,
It
far
was
out.
way out, way out,
Way
man.
out.
Yeah.
All right.
It was the cat's pajamas.
The
Wow.
bee's knees.
The
That's
beans
nice.
knees. Yeah, 23 skidoo.
Let's say goodnight, everybody.
Good
Good
night,
night,
everyone.
everybody.
Gruesome Magazine.